The Notcast, life, love and misery and deep shit.
Do you ever wonder, what the fuck am I doing here? Is this it? Maybe you've got the car, career, house, family and friends, everything that should make you happy. But still, there's this tenacious sense of being trapped, stuck, lost, or just a bit bloody empty. Welcome to the Notcast, where two therapist coaches, aka theracoaches, lay bare their psycho-spiritual journey of struggle, strife, and realization in their soul search for the keys to a happier, more fulfilling life.
Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to episode 31 of the Notcast. Social anxiety, how do I stop freaking out around people? 3 top tips to connect with confidence. Wah! What the fuck?
That's the sound for this week.
Oh dear. Okay, what a great way to start. If I didn't have anxiety, I have it now. Oh dear.
It's all part of the client creation process.
Yes, I'm sure that's working really well.
Terrify our listeners so they need our help.
Oh, love it. Okay, so
Social anxiety.
social anxiety. Mm-hmm.
What's it mean to you?
Yeah. When I reflected on this, what I realized was how fucking painful and real it felt.
Yeah.
Yeah. To put myself in front of people and be seen.
Mm.
And then slowly realizing that actually it was just me projecting my own hatred for myself onto other people all the time.
Yeah.
And realizing that actually nobody else thought that about me. I thought that about me.
So when you say hatred, like, it sounds like you're talking about social hatred rather than just social anxiety.
Yeah, because I didn't like myself.
But did that come out as like, I hate other people?
Well, it was so I would be like, I just hate people. People are hard work, people are horrible, people hurt you, all this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then that I was too. Like, I was embarrassed of who I was. I felt like I was inadequate and not enough. That people would see my vulnerabilities and all the demons that I carried around with me all of the time. Like, it was just visible to people. So I had to hide myself in any possible way. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I resonate with that. I definitely had, like, when I was a lot younger, I had that I hate people.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost a throwaway thing, which in all honesty it was never true. And I realized eventually it wasn't that I hated people, it was that they terrified me.
Yeah.
I didn't trust people, you know, and actually, but I think more specifically, I didn't trust myself to be around people and not get hurt or not get exposed, I guess. Like, I love what you said about being seen, because I think that's for me what it's about. Like, a lot of the social anxiety that I had years ago was about, like, I didn't see it at the time, but now I see it. It was that fear that someone was going to see something in me that I didn't like, that they didn't like. Well, same thing, right? I was afraid that they were going to see something they didn't like, but really it's because I didn't really like that thing. So it was the game of trying to hide it, trying to play the smoke and mirrors.
Yeah. And that's the word I would use. It was such a game. Like, I spent so much time in that game. It was awful.
One way I like to think about anxiety is it's about not knowing what the rules are.
I like that.
And when I was doing my word magic research
Mm-hmm.
for this one, I was looking at social,
Oh.
and one of the meanings for social is an informal social gathering, especially one organised by the members of a particular club or group. Informal was the word that stood out to me, because when I think about informal, I think, okay, what came to me was rules. And for me, like, when there's something that's more formal, then the kind of the rules, if you like, are more clear.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think of school or work in some respects. Obviously, it depends on the school and work, but
Yeah.
there's often certain rules there about what you're supposed to be on time in most places, and you're supposed to, even like with schools. At least it was when I was in school, you're supposed to have your same chair, and you're supposed to, like with some classes, it was like you have to go and stand behind your chair and wait till you're told to sit down, or, there's all that stuff.
Yeah.
See, some of those rules are clear and obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas then you get those rules that are kind of unspoken and unclear. And yeah, for me, if you think about a lot of social stuff, the rules aren't clear. And it really depends on the context, it depends on the group, it can depend on the setting. And yeah, like for me, that's the kind of stuff where it's like, if there's a fear about like if there's a fear about what happens if I get it wrong, if there's a sense of like a negative consequence, that in itself, I think, can bring up a lot of anxiety. Like, is it okay to ask this question? Is it okay to do this? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense to me. Yeah, and that was quite a big part of it for me when I did the reflection, because I was looking at how I learnt to kind of interact and connect, and where I learnt about relationships and why it felt so difficult.
Yeah.
And I know that one of the things that I was always concerned about was being attacked.
Really?
Yeah, whether verbally or physically, really. And I think it's because I've had relationships when I was a child where people would just lash out for no apparent reason. And a seemingly normal conversation could turn into a massive confrontation at a moment's notice, just. And so the way that I processed and dealt with that was, I must have done something to cause that.
Right. And
so then in social situations, it would be like, oh my God, what if that happens? Like, what if I caused that? Because I don't even know what I did.
Yeah.
That would make that happen.
Yeah.
So then I had the real fear that that's how people would react to me. So yeah, that was because there was no rules. Like, I didn't know how to be or not be, or how I could be different to not elicit that response from people. So yeah, that kind of played a big part, because I guess somewhere in my head, one of my rules must have been, or was, that at any given time, anyone can just kick off and
yeah,
and that's okay. So, and I didn't want to put myself in that situation.
That makes sense. Well, and the thing that stood out to me as you were talking about that was like, what have I done wrong?
Yeah.
How have I caused this kind of thing?
Absolutely.
And I think that was my experience as well, that I'd learned somehow growing up that this must be because of my doing. Like, it must be something I've done wrong. Like, how have I caused this? And don't get me wrong, I think that as a perspective can be useful in some respects, because then I end up looking at my behavior, but the kind of the flavor of it is not like, it's not that curious, oh, that's interesting, I wonder what part I've played in this. It's like, how is this my fault?
Yeah, literally.
How have I fucked this up again?
Yeah.
Well, as you were talking, what I remember, just a random incident, and we're not even going back that many years when I think about it, but I was sat, where was I sat? I was at a festival, and I was sat around with a bunch of people, and there was a girl who was with us sat next to me, and we were all, I think we were all sat in this. We were talking a little bit, but not really, because it was cold and everyone was just sort of sat there trying to warm up. And then I remember like turning to my side and realizing she'd gone, and I remember just feeling this like I don't know, this dropping feeling almost, this, And it was this sense of like, fuck, what did I do? How did I make her disappear? What have I done wrong?
Yeah.
And looking back, like, probably nothing. She was probably cold, or herself feeling like a bit socially anxious and wanted to disappear. But the way I interpreted that was, I've fucked something up.
Mm-hmm.
I've done something wrong.
Yeah, literally. Like, yeah, that resonates so deeply. I've had so many experiences where I have sat there afterwards and gone, how did I fuck that up? Why don't they want to talk to me again? It must be me. It has to be me. This is all about me. Yeah. But that made total sense.
Yeah, and I think, in those kind of, it's not like we're often open to having those conversations. Like, it would have been a bit weird if I'd have gone to her tent and just been like, but by the way, like, when you left, like, was that, she'd probably be like, what the fuck, you're in my tent, leave me alone.
Yeah. Like, was it something I said?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but I know that it used to happen for me even more so if I had to do a task and somebody was watching me. Like, oh my God, the pressure. Because in my head, I'm going to fuck this up, I'm going to fuck this up, I'm going to fuck this up. And then I'm trying to do this thing in front of people, whatever it may be. Like, I can remember walking into college for the very first time and there's like a circle of 23 people. And I'm like, oh shit, the inner circle. There is no way to hide from any one of these people because you're in a circle. And it's like, it was so fucking scary. And the thought of having to speak in front of them and like people watching me go through that process was really fucking frightening. It was like, oh my God, and what if I fuck this up? And I didn't even know how I could fuck it up. It was talking. Do you know what I mean? But I really felt it for real. It was like, oh my God, and what if they think I'm some sort of monster? Like I say something and they just look at me like, oh my God, she so needs not to be here. She needs to be in therapy.
Yeah.
Not doing a therapy course. Yeah, there was a lot of monsters and dragons and shit that I had to look at and deal with and, understand.
And I don't know about you, but being in that kind of situation just makes me more likely to fuck it up.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. If somebody's watching me and I'm feeling nervous, like about the task at hand, then it's a real, oh shit, because I'm going in with that thing of it's going to fuck up, it's going to fuck up, it's going to fuck up. Don't do it, don't do it.
Don't fuck it up, don't fuck it up, don't fuck it up. Whilst I'm just thinking about how awful it's going to be when I fuck it up.
Yeah, absolutely.
The thing that flashed into my mind, I hadn't thought about this for years, but I forget how old I was. I'm probably like 11 or something at this point, maybe 12. My dad had got this old motorbike, I think, that he'd brought over. Like, I think he brought it back from bits in Japan or something like that, because he used to work over there. Anyway, he'd put it together and he'd taken me up the field. And he'd been taking me for a while and I was getting the hang of it. But then I remember this one time I was on it and just turned the corner of the field and I see like four of the, like, I guess they were like the in, I think that age, there's like the in crew of boys who are also the bullies kind of thing.
Got it. Yeah.
Those, and of course it's like, fuck, don't fuck it up. Of course, what happened? I got nervous, cranked the throttle too much, fucking upended the bike and ended up on the floor.
Yeah.
Feeling absolutely ridiculous. And it's like, just the worst bit is it's like, I don't think I'd ever done that before.
Yeah, right.
I think that's the first time I've ever done it. And I did it in front of a bunch of people because I was worried about doing it in front of a bunch of other people.
Go figure, right? That happens. Yeah. I don't even, yeah, countless situations like that. I think I've referred to it before, but like, when I fell on the tube, like on the platform, and I just sort of slid, and there's all these people, whole train full of people just watching me, and it's just like, oh my God. The only thing that I could kind of say to myself is none of those people actually know you. Yeah. But even then it felt fucking cringy.
Yeah.
You know, like awful. I felt awful.
Yeah.
And And it happens. Like even now I'll catch myself in it. Like, I don't know if I slip slightly or whatever it is. Like that first moment is still the response I would have had.
Right.
Where it's just like, I'm looking around and I'm just thinking, oh my God, I hope nobody saw that. And then it's like, so what if they did?
I think that's a lot of it. Like for me anyway, when I think about my personal experience and working with clients, like a lot of social anxieties is that being exposed, being seen. And like in situations like that, it's that fear of the embarrassment. It's the fear of what that'll mean. It's the discomfort of that. It's the fear, the fear of feeling that discomfort of the embarrassment or whatever.
Absolutely.
And so there's the avoidance strategies that go about avoiding it happen. But then when it does happen, it's like, I don't know, for me, there's almost still this like a non-acceptance of it, this like tussling with it, this like, oh my God. It's like, this isn't happening. Oh my God, this is the worst thing. And it's this going round with it rather than that sense of more, I guess, I want to say turning towards it, being with it and realizing, do you know what? I was a bit stupid.
Yeah, but it doesn't define me, right? Yeah, absolutely. And it was weird because I was thinking about like really early experiences, and I don't have many recollections of very early experiences, but something I do remember is actually being about 5 maybe, and basically peeing my pants at school.
Really?
Yeah. And we used to have to wear, like I went to some sort of private school, and we used to have to wear these like big navy blue fucking pants.
Wow.
But it's like, and then they called my mum in, and then she shamed me for it.
Really?
You know, and it was like, I was a kid though. And it just happened. And it's like, those were the experiences that sort of shaped the story. You know, it's like, none of that is okay. Like people are going to shame me. If I do the wrong thing, people are going to shame me. And then I'll feel like this.
Yeah.
And it was horrible.
Yeah, that does sound pretty horrible.
Yeah. No, yeah. Because I was kind of trying to understand like the buildup of experiences that kind of got me to that place. And it's an accumulation of what to other people. It's like, oh, that's a minor thing though. It's like really wasn't to me in the response that I got to me.
Well, yeah, and for me, it's the learning that goes. It's the learning that goes with it. I'm trying to recall specific examples. None are coming to mind right now, but I know that going through school, there were a number of experiences where I'd done something, and then there was this negative social reaction.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel good for it.
Mm-hmm.
And then that became something to fear, something that I would then worry would happen, which would make me hold back.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So before we go into our points, I want to share a few things I found from Google as I was looking.
Oh, yes. Google Joy.
Well, the first couple of things that kind of stood out to me was that, well, just social anxiety in itself, two terms I keep seeing: social anxiety disorder and social phobia.
Yeah.
And especially the disorder bit, like for me, it's just, again, I can't get away from this pathologizing of experience. There's this sense of brokenness, like you have this problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I just personally don't find that very helpful, just because for me, there's this sense that, I'm broken, and therefore I either have to manage the brokenness or I have to take some kind of medication or something to kind of, to balance it out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the concept that something's wrong. And actually, in retrospect, when I was looking at this, I was quite happy that I didn't have the label to refer to.
Yeah.
and to kind of put on myself until I looked at it afterwards on reflection. Because, I feel like that label would have stuck quite heavy. I would have then told myself there was something wrong with me, because that's all I would have needed to go, oh my God, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
And I'm never going to change.
Well, I don't know about you, but I hear it a lot, you know, in people saying things like my anxiety, my this, my that.
Yeah.
You know, or increasingly like my social anxiety disorder, my diagnosis for this. And I know we've talked about this before. On one level, I think a label for something is helpful in that it helps to understand and contextualize experience. But for me, then the nature of the label matters. It's like, is this just, for me, there's a difference between, I'm experiencing this thing that we call social anxiety, but also that's quite normal. And a lot of people get that when they've, a lot of people can experience that kind of thing. It's kind of part of being human.
Yeah.
And the other side of it, which is I've got this thing called social anxiety, which is this means there's something wrong with me and I need medication or.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Because that's one of the treatments for social anxiety disorder, right? Medication. Yeah. I was intrigued by that.
Yeah. So that was the first thing. What were some of the others? Our favorite one came up for me. Control your breathing.
Okay, that will fix it, will it?
just breathe and your anxiety goes away.
Fabulous. I wish I'd known.
But then, you know, and we might have spoken about this before, but the more I thought about it, like for me, if and when that does work, it's because it brings us back to the present.
Yeah.
If I'm focused on my breathing, I'm not up in my head.
Nope.
Thinking about all those insecurities and consequences and whatever it is about myself. I'm more present to actually what's going on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's a connection to self, because that's, Yeah,
100%. And I think, like, for me, that's the important bit, because if that bit gets lost, it's like, I just need to breathe. It's like, I'm not sure the breathing is necessarily the thing in itself on its own.
No.
And my other favorite one, prepare before you go out. Read some magazines for topics to talk about.
Sorry, that just... Okay.
And like for me though, some of this is like the sentiment I think has some merit, but it's a bit cart before the horse. It's like, I do think there is a skill to socializing. And it's something I realized that, actually I was just a bit shit at for ages. I would definitely say I'm not perfect at it now, but I'm better than I was 4 years ago, 5 years ago. I'm better than I was 10, better than I was 20 years ago. It's been a learning process. So I think there is some level of like, skill to it. It's why, you know, when you meet someone you don't know, those common questions like, how do you know the host of the party? Or, so what do you do when you're not here? Or something like that. But at the same time, I think it can completely miss the point. You can read all the magazines you like to think of topics, but if you're still afraid that you're going to be outed for being a terrible person, it might not be all that helpful.
No. It's not that helpful. Oh dear. Oh gosh. So is it time for our points now?
Absolutely. You or me first?
I'm going to go first.
Go for it. What's your first point?
My first point is, how connected are you to yourself?
How connected are you to yourself? Tell me more.
Yeah. So, well, I guess considering it's connect with confidence, right? My first step in that is, how connected to myself am I? And how confident am I in that connection? Because I never used to be at all. Like I spoke about, I didn't like myself. So I did everything I could to avoid myself and had zero connection with myself. So didn't have that understanding of how to build a relationship with me. So then trying to go out and connect with other people when I had no connection to myself was really hard work and pretty much impossible, because I didn't know what space I was connecting from. Like, I didn't know any parts of me. I'm just going, oh my God, and this about you is terrible, and this about you is terrible, and this about you is terrible. It's like, what am I supposed to take forward? into any kind of social interaction, just all these things that I don't like about myself, and then trying to kind of put a mask on it all. So for me, my social anxiety started to change shape as I started to understand myself and not be scared of me, and therefore be less scared of other people and being with other people. That was definitely one of the biggest steps for me.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. And what was coming up for me as you were talking is that, like, I don't think I put those two things together for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was aware that I didn't really like social situations and I felt awkward and stuff like that, but I never really put it. It looked like something outside of me that I had to manage, if you like. I never really made the connection between how I felt about myself, and my connection with myself. It was, I mean, I suppose though, on another level, I used to beat myself up for not being better at it.
Mm-hmm.
But really, that was all still based on the idea that I'm not good enough anyway, and that, you know, there's something wrong with me. But yeah, that whole connection to self piece, that was a bit of a mystery to me to begin with.
Yeah, that was my game changer. Like, that is always my game changer. It's like, how are you relating to yourself?
Yeah, very much like you, actually. Like, when I started to do that, when I started to see that, and then and change my relationship with myself, suddenly my relationship to other people,
magically
changed. Yeah. Yeah, 100%. So I guess, well, my first point then, and every time you go first, my points are now out of bloody order.
Oh, sorry, not sorry.
So my first one then is, you don't have to perform.
Yes.
And this is really about, for me, it's the essence of it is about being true to who you are, being open about who you are, not trying to hide things. And, you know, I appreciate that can be easier said than done, but essentially for me, simplifying it, that's how it works. Like, if I'm okay being me and showing up as me in all my imperfect glory, then there's nothing to reject. There's nothing that anybody else can see or point out or be upset by that I'm not already aware of, and that I'm not prepared to kind of come out, as it were.
Yeah. I love that. It's funny how it keeps coming back to self, isn't it?
Well, to be honest, like, this in itself really only landed for me in the last couple of years or so, like really seeing it. I mean, for me, it came out where, you know, what I would term with the depression that I was struggling with. Like, I could get depressed still quite frequently, and I was fine when I was feeling up.
Yeah.
But then when I would start going down, I would then notice myself getting to a hole.
Yeah.
And really, the reason why I say that was about social anxiety is because the fear was, if I connect when I'm in this place and I try and connect with someone and be honest, that's not going to be okay, that they'll reject me. And actually, I didn't even see that initially. The way I'd seen it more was like I'd look at my WhatsApp and I'd just be like, no.
Love it.
But I think it came out more as like, I don't have the energy for that.
Yeah.
Or something, or I don't know. There was, it was a bit, again, it was a bit smoke and mirrors to me, but really I think it was about, it doesn't seem okay for me to try and connect and be like, actually, this is how I'm doing. This is where I'm at. But that was really about, because I didn't feel okay with being in that state, mindset, whatever, and sharing that. And what happened over time when I started to trust myself with being more open with other people about how I was really doing, and whatever was bothering me, I started to get the kind of embodied experience in a way that it was okay to show up just being me, however I was. Not necessarily with everybody. It doesn't mean that I, want to start going down my phone list and just ringing randoms and being like, hey, did you know I'm feeling fucking shit today? But it was so black and white for me that it was almost even the people closest to me. When I got to a certain point, it was like, can't talk to them.
Yeah.
Because I'm not okay with being like this.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
Yeah. And so then that started to change. That started to change for me when I started, I guess, allowing myself to be less okay.
Yeah. I love that. And that has been a big part of my journey too. Because my message always, since I was little, was, but you're strong, you have to be strong, you have to be strong.
Mm.
So then anytime I wasn't okay, it was like, oh my God, I'm weak, I can't show that to people. That's not okay. It's not okay to be like that. So I can't show it to anybody.
Yeah.
So there was that level of it. And then I used to kind of have like a physical shield, which was literally like my hair had to be a certain way, my makeup had to be a certain way, I had to have my contacts in, I had to be dressed in a certain way. Yeah. And it was such a shield. And I used to kind of kid myself that it was because it made me feel like more confident or whatever. But it was such a fucking pain in the ass because it took ages.
Yeah.
And it was my way of going, somehow this will make me more acceptable or okay. And it will put a layer between me and like my true self and the person that's in front of me, because they will see what I want them to see, which is this put together person. And I can remember the first time I wore my glasses out like that was when I was on my degree. And it was one of those moments where it landed for me. It was like, you're acceptable however you are. And I went in with my glasses on and my curly hair, and it was just like, this is so fucking freeing. And people aren't sitting there going, oh, look at her. Do you know what I mean? It was, yeah. And I feel like that's necessary, those little, like testing it, right?
That's awesome. I think it's about choosing to test our ideas with ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. So my second point is just taking that first step, whatever that first step may be, slowly, and talk yourself through it. Guide yourself through it. Do not abandon yourself. Because for me, that was definitely one of the ways that really, really helped me. At first, it was I would talk myself through it in my head. So rather than focusing on all the things that I believed people were thinking, I would just talk myself through that process of, okay, all you have to do is walk in here. And then all you have to do is just be here and be okay with that. So that, what I realized was it was like a little game with myself, because it dropped me out of thinking about the anxiety around actually talking to people. Because then I'm focusing on what I have to do. Just go over there. Just go and say hello to this one person. And I'm just talking myself through it. And then talking myself through, if a thought came up, it would be like, is that really true though? Amy, is that person really thinking that? Or are you thinking that? So it was just about taking little steps and not even having to do all of it. Like, even if it was just to walk into a shopping center, or just talking myself through it so that I could see something different step by step, and allowing it as slow as I needed it to be, but just allowing myself to see and feel the difference. Yeah.
I love that. And what I hear in that is like, there's a shift there from this anxiety is something happening to me. And this is something that I can change, that I can do something about.
Yeah, completely. And it was a lot of just experimenting. It's like, what if I did? Like, I used to play the what if game with myself. What if I just took that one step? What if I just walked in here and just talk myself through that step-by-step process? And it was a whole different experience. Yeah, because I wasn't thinking about what I told myself I'm always thinking about. A revelation is I was thinking about something different, and I was present. So I couldn't be in my story as much.
I love that. Well, it's similar to my second point, actually, which is practice.
Yeah. There you go.
Basically, practice. Go be social. or you know, the phrase I love to use is turn towards. It's that sometimes, I know I talk about it quite a lot, that subtle difference between that, you know, running away from something, that turn away, that sense of I can't, that sense of lack of capability, and that turn towards. And sometimes the turn towards decision can be that, do you know what, I can't hack this party today.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But in this context, it's like, okay, well, yeah, if I'm struggling with social anxiety, then how do I lean into that? How do I do something that's going to help me see something new and learn something new? And I remember, like, I had this, God knows how many years ago it was now, probably 4 years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, something like that. I noticed that even when I was running, I'd be out running, and I used to go early morning running. And I realized as well, the reason I used to like going running in early mornings is because there's no one about.
Mm-hmm.
But what I started to notice, that obviously there would still be dog walkers and stuff around. And every time I'd see someone, I'd get this panic. This panic would hit me. And yeah, like I hated it. I would freak out thinking like, I don't even know what it was about. And this is what caught my attention, because I started to be like, what am I worried about? But it wasn't, it was like I was worried about, I think, like what I should do when they get close enough to me. It's like, do I smile at them? Do I ignore them? Do I give them a nod? Do I start a conversation?
Yeah.
Like, what do I do? Like, thinking about it now, it's like, does it fucking matter? But it seems so important. Like, there was some level of, I might get this wrong,
Mm-hmm.
that somehow made strangers terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what I started to do with it was just to experiment. I was like, okay, well, what if I try and smile at them? And it was really fucking difficult to begin with, especially because some people I would get the vibe, or at least I saw, whether it was there or not, whether I projected it, I don't know. But the vibe I got was, this is not someone to smile at.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt a real, like, even going in with the intention, there was this real sense of, no, look down, no, don't smile, don't smile, don't smile.
I love that. Yes. All of that.
It was really strong.
Yeah.
But like, I remember my favorite experience of it was, I don't even know what had happened to make me, but I must have seen something where I was, on some level, I'd seen like, okay, no, this is all my creation. Actually, this is really nothing to do with the other person. It's all my ideas. So I'm like, I'm just going to hold their eye contact and smile.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember doing it on one particular run, and doing it for like, on a number of people. And this one guy, I remember specifically, like, I held it, I'd seen him quite far away, and I was like, just hold eye contact. And probably to the point that it was weird. But I noticed, like, he's holding this stare, and he looks like, I don't know, fearful, or it looks like it's not a warm thing. Mm-hmm. But then when I get so close to him, I then just smile. Yeah. And then it was interesting, because then as soon as I did, he moved from this sort of confused, like, what the fuck is going on face, to sort of like break into a smile.
Yeah.
And I think it was in that moment where I was like, oh, this is all in my mind and my reaction to it. And actually, even, I don't know if it was after or before those people, I noticed when I kind of set that intention, I'm going to smile at these people anyway. When I held their gaze and went to smile, and I realized they looked away and wouldn't hold mine, I found myself like silently bursting out laughing after they'd gone by. Yeah. But not because I was laughing at them, but because I was laughing at almost the ridiculousness of it all. Because I think I saw in that moment, like, I really saw their vulnerability. I saw, like, I've been terrified of nothing.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
They're just as scared as me.
Yeah.
Hence they're looking at the ground. And I've just been present with that. And what's happened? Nothing.
Yeah, right? Yeah, the world didn't stop.
Yeah.
Go figure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I absolutely love that. And that was a lot like my process. Like, yeah. And it slides well into my third point.
Ooh, tell me more.
Challenge yourself.
Cool. Challenge yourself.
Yeah, like in all the ways, like make that decision to do something different. Like for me, challenging myself has got to the point of I have bright purple hair. So when I walk into a room, people see me. There is no out. I have not given myself an out. I have big ass tattoos on my arms. It is just like, step into it fully, Amy, and challenge yourself. So I know wherever I go, people talk to me. So I've taken the challenge all the way to that point. But it started small. It was like I had to challenge myself and my story and see the story. And so I had to keep showing up and lovingly creating the container of love and challenging myself from that space and going, what's really going on? Like, because otherwise I would stop myself going to places that I really wanted to go and like connecting to people that I really, really wanted to connect to. So then I got to the point where I was like, no, I have to do something different. I have to be able to do something different. And to do that, I'm just going to have to challenge myself in a loving way, not in a telling myself off way, because that didn't work at all. So it was really about, what do I need to make this safe for me? Like, looking for something different in those interactions rather than searching the interactions for, oh, are you looking at me because there's something wrong with the way I look? I would be looking for something completely different and looking at the positives and looking where the people were smiling at me and where there was a connection. But all of it was me being 100% present and challenging myself in the moment to kind of go, what's the worst that can happen if you just go and talk to that person? And then I would talk myself through my story. And this could happen, this could happen, this could happen. But is that really true? And are you not going to be okay if that happens? So it was that process of really having to show up and kick my ass in a really loving way and being okay and understanding as well that I understand you're scared. I get that. But at the same time, you really, really want to be here and you really, really want to connect to these people. So step into it. And that has grown all the way to this, where there's just not an out. I don't give myself an out. It's like any room I walk into, I know people are going to come and talk to me.
Can you lovingly kick your ass?
Yeah, lovingly kick my ass all the time.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, well, I guess lovingly kick my, okay, let me explain. Lovingly kicking my ass is like going, look, I know this is difficult. And I know that you might not want to do it. But you know you can do it. And you know you're going to be okay if you do it. So fucking go do it.
See, I hear that more as encouragement.
Well, to me, it's lovingly kicking my ass.
Remind me never to ask you for encouragement.
Yeah. I'm a great cheerleader, so fuck off.
And there it is. Just for context, Amy is an excellent cheerleader. I will vouch for that.
Thank you.
Welcome. The two things came up for me actually. One was, you reminded me of, I read a book years ago. I think it's by a woman called maybe Lois Loads or something like that. It's called How to Talk to Anyone. Mm-hmm. And one of the tips she had in there was wear a what's it, which basically was like, and it's the essentially what they call peacocking now, but it's like wear something that people can go, oh, I love that. What's that? Yeah. And it gives people a reason to talk to you. So yeah, I guess that's you've got a couple of what's its, your purple hair and your tattoos. Yeah.
Oh, and my slogan tees, right? They're another conversation starter. Wherever I go, people are like, oh, I like your t-shirts. It's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. But I mean, the main thing I loved about what you talked about was about challenging yourself. Because, I mean, for me, the reason I loved that is because it's the energy of it. Like if I'm challenging myself, it assumes that there's a possibility of change. It assumes a level of capability. I think it assumes that it's something that I can become more capable at.
Yep.
And you know that I go back to what I talked about, the turn towards decision. Like if what I'm seeing is this situation or whatever it is, whether it's a social situation or whatever, however I feel I have to perform or be there, if that seems like something that I can't do, that's impossible, that's something that's overwhelming, above me, whatever, well then I'm screwed. Can't do anything about that. I just better hide.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm challenging myself, then I'm seeing that I might be able to change the outcome. I might be able to do something different.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I love that. I love that
Thank
and what
you.
you said. So my third point, though, I had a backup point.
Of course you did.
One backup point, not 27, Ms. Dave. And I'm not sure which one I'm feeling. The one I'm going to go with actually is my backup point, and that's no, you're not alone.
Yeah.
No, you're not alone. And in as much that anxiety around social situations and around how we're going to come across and all of that, I think is really normal.
Yeah.
I think I don't know many people who are genuinely confident in any and all like social situations with anybody and everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And those people who seem to be that way, they seem to have done a lot of practice.
Yeah.
It's something I definitely found for myself in my journey of being terribly socially anxious was that I didn't see that for a long time. It looked to me that everybody else had their shit together, had no issues socially. And I think that's, well, maybe a couple of reasons, maybe because of, the mask the other people were wearing, possibly how they'd learned to perform, possibly. But I think probably a lot of it was that I was too busy up in my head.
Yeah.
And actually probably also some of it was that even if those people were socially anxious, it was coming out like it wasn't all that. It didn't really affect how I thought about them and my sense of them. So it was almost like a non-issue, a non-thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I love that. As you're saying that, I'm thinking, well, I was well too busy, like in my own and telling myself that nobody else is like you. Yeah. Why are you like that? So I wouldn't allow myself to see it. Yeah. Yeah. But it was definitely a revelation.
So any closing thoughts on social anxiety?
So what I'd actually written for my closing thoughts, it just kind of came to me just before we were doing this, was I know that you may have been hurt in connection. And I know that you may be afraid. And I know that you may believe that you are keeping yourself safe. But are you really? Because as humans, we thrive through love and connection. So for me, it's about taking that first step. And that first step is building that love and connection with yourself. And then say yes to one thing. And allow yourself that experience. And come and let me know how it goes if you do it.
Beautiful. So my closing thoughts then are, other people are a mirror for our fears and ideas about ourselves. And for me, the key to social anxiety, or to getting over social anxiety, I guess, is being okay with being you, with being ourselves. Or more specifically, being imperfectly ourselves. And knowing that that's okay and that's enough.
Oh, lovely.
31 episodes then.
Yes!
Done and dusted.
Whoop! You've been listening to the Notcast podcast, Life, Love, Misery and Deep Shit with your TheraCoach hosts,
Amy Dave.
And David Bird.
Amy is a transformative spiritual and self-love coach and therapist who takes people on a powerful journey towards self-love and personal transformation. She empowers her clients to discover the truth of who they really are, their true purpose, and the truest expression of themselves, whilst enabling them to navigate life and its challenges with ease, grace, and above all, love. Create relationships that rock their world and let go of the toxic shit that holds them back. You can connect with Amy on her Facebook at facebook.com/amy.dave11. That's AMI.DAVE.11.
David is a transformative coach and hypnotherapist who guides his clients on a journey of self-exploration and transformation to smash the shit out of their mental stumbling blocks and send their emotional baggage packing, helping them to get back in the driver's seat, create a more powerful, loving connection to life, and unleash onto the world their bright, shining light of authentic give-a-fuckness. You can connect with David at his website, dbch.co.uk. That's dbch.co.uk.
The